Okay, I tried to relate what I posted in my paper to actually the conference topic, which is knowledge and games, as you all know. How I would like to turn this topic around is to ask the questions, what do video games know? Since I talked to John yesterday, I have to rephrase that a little bit and have to ask, what do video games know? Because it's not intentional knowledge, but more kind of archivic knowledge. So actually, it's about the knowledge that we find in computer games. To extend that question, so it's more or less about the question, what do video games know about video games? So what do they know about themselves? What do we find within them as a structure that is significant for video games? Or to rephrase it again, the question is, what do video games know about video games as media? There have been several attempts to find a solution to that question. A recent one is unfortunately available only in Germany, only in German, by a book by Daniel Feig called Computer Games or Aesthetics of Computer Games, in which he says computer games are essentially self-referential, not to themselves, that would be my point, but to the idea of games as such. So every computer game tries to redefine what is the essence of computer games. He wrote a book about jazz music before, saying the same about jazz music, so you can iterate that on other media. But nevertheless, it's a very readable book. Anyhow, but that brings us to the necessity, I think, to connect the question of media to the question of aesthetics. So at least half of you, I think, are philosophers, but still there's always the question, what is aesthetics? When I say aesthetics, I don't mean the question, what is beauty or what is objective beauty, and even not the Kantian question, what is the experience of beauty, because otherwise you would have to build games that look like this. When I say aesthetics, I actually go back to probably the longest tradition we do have in philosophy about aesthetics, and that is the idea of aesthesis, from Aristotle's Peripsyche to Merleau-Ponty's phenomenology of perception, where they all ask that basic question: what is the way, or how is the way we perceive? How do we perceive? And by that, they were attracted by the question of the body, or namely the flesh, in Merleau-Ponty. So that is my approach to aesthetics, not questioning what is beauty or sublime, but what is about the essence of perception. The other part of that couple is, what about media? That luckily is also very easy, because basically there is only one philosophy of media that is that really matters, because anything else can be derived from that, and that is the idea that the medium is the message itself, by Marshall McLuhan. So it's not important what's the content of the medium, beside only the fact that its content are other media or the medium itself, which has an effect on the recipients. Beside that, he had also the idea that resembles the title of my talk, that media do extend the human body, or extensions of man. So any media we're using can only make use of the aesthesis, or in fact affecting the aesthesis that is already at work. So now the question is, how could we transfer that to computer games? Therefore, I had a look into film studies where that has already been done, and namely, if you look into the writings of Vivian Sobczak, like Phenomenology of Film Experience, you can find hints on that idea that perception, or the aesthesis as perception, is really the key to the understanding of film or of film experience. To give an example, in one of her articles called What My Fingers Knew, she's not only giving a nice quote from Merleau-Ponty, but she's also discussing her experience by watching the opening scene of The Piano, which you might know, and if you don't, you could try to get into the situation Sobczak is describing, because she said, before my eyes were able, or my brain was able to understand what I was seeing, my fingers already knew that that was a bodily experience, that there were fingers being displayed, fingers of the main character touching the camera. I don't buy into this fully, because this is that kind of phenomenology that confuses the actual body with the transcendental body, but still, I think that is the worthwhile way to go. It's sometimes called the somatic term in media studies, but I want to give it a much more formal approach, namely by using an approach by George Spencer Brown, who wrote The Laws of Form in 1969, and had this idea of the re-entry into the form. If you're not familiar with that, it's not that easy to explain, but the basic idea is that in traditional logic you would say A cannot be non-A at the same time, and he would say, no, A is always its opposite, and the distinction between A and B. So anytime we draw a distinction, it will reoccur in whatever follows up in the conclusion. So there is this ongoing self-reflexiveness in anything we do, in anything we think, in anything media do. Simple examples for self-reflexiveness in games you can find. Obviously the most prominent one you can find in Zork, in which the letter you open tells you that no computer should be without Zork. So it's also not only a switch in the levels of description, but it's also self-reflexive within the game, about the game. Or a more recent example, so games scholars have been arguing for decades now, since the present discussion, what is immersion? And I think we haven't come to a conclusion what immersion really is. But there are games that tell us their idea about what immersion is, how it is like to get immersed into a game. That is the opening scene, or not opening scene, but end of the tutorial actually in Assassin's Creed, where the protagonist is infected with the DNA of his ancestors and then gets immersed into the medieval world. So the focus I am taking when I do philosophy of media, is to look for the philosophy that media do. Again, this is a second slide for John, saying it's the philosophy that is to be found in media, obviously. Media are not doing philosophy, but we as philosophers take them philosophically. So the real task, if you want to follow me in that project, and that project is not finished actually, I just started to think about it, is to find paradigmatic re-entries into the forms of a given medium that expands the human body's senses. So, and that would be also a quite new approach, I think, to the question, what are original gaming genres? I don't know if that will pay out in the end, but maybe in the next 10 minutes you can try to follow me and then give me some hints afterwards. Luckily, people have done that before me, again not for games, but for film, inspired by Sobchak. Thomas Elsässer from Amsterdam and Malte Hagen, one of his students, they wrote probably the best introduction to film theory that's out there, namely film theory, an introduction through the senses. And this book is trying to explain the experience of film that Sobchak also tried to decipher by having a closer look at the human faculties, namely the physical or the sensual ones, but also taking the brain or the mental function as a part of the central apparatus or of the aesthesis in total. So there is this big visual section, the haptic section, the acoustic section, and the mental. And to them, the main paradigm that can be found in there are the window, the door, the mirror, the eye, as elements of the film, the skin, the ear, and the brain, and the form into which the re-entry of those elements takes place are the frame, the threshold, the face, the gaze, the touch, space, and memory. To give you an example, this still might sound a bit cryptic to you. One example for the first paradigm, not from film, because you can find that earlier on in perspective painting. I not want to talk about the gender issues here, fellows in prison that is at work, but have a closer look at the windows. Because, I mean, Dürer obviously is following the idea of Alberti, that the picture has to be an open window into the world. And what is mostly overlooked when you use that, or when you look at that picture of Dürer, is that there are a lot of frames or windows inside that picture themselves. So it's not only the frame or the veil through which he tries to draw the woman, or by the help of the support of which he tries to draw the woman, but also the windows at the wall in the back, which open up onto the landscape. And that would be a case of the re-entry into the form of the medium itself. Yeah? Following? Okay. So, and that could be easily found in all visual media, also in computer games, but the authors, they are writing about films, so this is the first paradigm, the first aesthetic paradigm they are describing, and that one, as an example for that, they come up with Hitchcock's Rear Window, in which, if you remember that movie, the protagonist is tied to a wheelchair behind his window and looking through that frame into the world onto other frames in that backyard. So that film is not about, it's not finding out who killed that woman in one of the frames, but that film is about cinema as being a window into the world in the sense of Alberti. And that is the re-entry into the form and the philosophical exposition of what the essence of the medium is. As said, this also can be found in computer games. That early example of a first-person shooter, namely Battlezone. If you look at the arcade setup, you already got this cascade of window frames. So you look through that periscope onto a frame, into the world, and inside that world you've got another frame, namely the crosshair framing the object. So it's frame after frame after frame, re-entry into the form of the medium. So the medium is the message. There's no content other than the essence of the medium, which is its form. I jump to the fourth paradigm. Don't have to discuss all of them. The fourth paradigm they're talking about is the eye and the gaze as the form in which the re-entry takes place. Paradigmatic movie one could look at is Blade Runner, in which, so Blade Runner is also not, in this approach, Blade Runner is not a film about a sci-fi movie about dystopic future, but it is a film about the idea that cinema is about the gaze. Because if you remember that movie, it's all about the eye. The robots or the androids, they are distinguished by that machine that tests the eye. They squeeze out eyes all the time, etc., etc. But this has been there. It's not only for recent movies that kind of for self-reflexiveness, or the exposition of the medium's essence. You can find very, very early movies as well, in a probably even more condensed form, because that film about a voyeur or peeping Tom looking at the woman's feet or shoe. It's all about the idea that cinema is voyeuristic, that it is about seeing. And no surprise, we can find that in video or computer games as well. Probably the best game to match that paradigm is the Silent Scope series, which they actually arcade set up. You have like a gun with a second screen that you need in order to focus the enemy. That is just the PC or the console version that looks like a magnifier on the screen. The fifth paradigm then would be that of skin and touch. They refer here a lot to anthology or the omnibus films, or these films by which various storylines are actually literally crashing into each other. So Crash or LA Crash would be a paradigmatic movie. But if you want to take one filmmaker who is probably most paradigmatic, or his whole work being very paradigmatic for the skin and touch aesthesis couple, that would be Terrence Malick, using hand-carried cameras, only never leaving the level of the human eyesight, so never having a shut down from above, so it's never God-eyes view, it's always the human view, but in a moving way, so it's incorporated. So it's actually the opposite, the staring eye to the gaze of the fourth paradigm. And again, this re-entry into the form of this aesthetic paradigm or aspect of film can as well be found in computer games, namely here in Mirror's Edge, but there will be countless more examples to be mentioned or coming up anyhow with the new devices. And to jump to the last paradigm, which must be probably the most surprising one, since usually the brain is not considered to be an organ of perception. If you think of the brain as the faculty that allows us to have memory, then this would be the central apparatus to experience time, but not only the actual time progressing, but all of the time we do remember. And what we all do all the time is we're actually jumping backwards and forwards in time while we're here and we're trying to remember other talks or things we've read or we're going to have for lunch. So this virtualization of the presence can be easily used in films, and it has also there from the beginning of film history. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, one of those mind games in which they try to, if the protagonist, they want to have the memories of each other erased, but then in the end they decide not to have them, then they try to escape that erasure. But the already mentioned Alain Resnais in this movie last year at Marine, but it's exactly the same. Deleuze called this the time image, in which the virtualization of the presence takes place. So you have past and present the same time. So they are negotiating whether they had an affair the year before or not. And she's denying that, and you have this jump. So the match cards, they are actually in different backgrounds. That's how it's done in film, and we all know those examples where it's done in games by which you need to remember an action you've done before in order to cope with another presence in that game. So since there are 1.5 minutes left, I only skip to one paradigm that seems to be significant for film, but I don't think it really occurs significantly in games other than as in cutscenes. And that is the paradigm of mirror and its form of the face. Think of Ingmar Bergman's Persona, in which close-ups first invite the viewer to identify with one of the protagonists, and then they become in this you cannot tell them apart from each other anymore. Or if you think of Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West, where there's hardly any outer movement, but only close-ups by which you could project your ideas about the protagonist's psyche onto the face or try to identify that protagonist. And my final claim would be that because identification either happens otherwise in games or isn't necessary at all because you are already active, that's the reason why you hardly ever see a face of the protagonist, especially in those games that are called to be immersive. That is true for first-person shooters per se, but it's also true for third-person shooters. Have you ever tried to look into the face of Lara Croft or Max Payne? It's quite difficult. I tried it once, but I never want to show me. space in the interactive scenes. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Stefan. Questions? Yes.
Yeah, thanks for this nice comparative overview, really illuminating. I'm still wondering where self-referentiality starts in these examples. I mean, is it because it's all about perception, or do you see, I mean, just representing this idea of the mirror or of the of haptic perception or whatever, for me, doesn't necessarily qualify as self-referentiality. So is that like an open scale, or is there a threshold that you would make?
The idea of the authors I'm referring to when they read or interpret films accordingly, they don't care about whether this re-entry into the form is on the level of the narration, whether it's on the level of depiction or of the way the camera shoots the scene, or if it's an object. And so you can find full scale of that. So it's not only the mirror to be found in that movement. It's very striking, but it's not only that.
Thanks for that. I'm thinking. I have to think of Galloway. I already thought of it in the keynote and in the talk after that. So Galloway says, whenever there's game art being made, the game is taken out of the game. So it always falls back to earlier media like the film image, the still image, and so on. So I wonder if what's the trick of your talk? You're always referring back to examples that come from other media. So my question is, first, do you think there's sort of Galloway asks for gamic action to happen, for a gamic form? First, do you think there is gamic form? And second, how would you think of a re-entry of gamic form into a game?
I think I could take that as, just give you one answer, because I refer to, actually, if you want to read it up, it's in the paper. And I said Galloway himself having this nice example of what's it called, environmental movement. So the environment tells you the game is not pausing. So and probably could try to define one paradigm that is the interactive paradigm, that is not identical with touch and skin. But that would be one of the paradigms that we still need to look for.
Yeah, thank you for this. I want to ask a question, which is, I want to focus on the third paradigm of the eye and gaze, which you spent some time on, but in a sense that will build up to a question about the thing as a whole. So with reference to Sobchak at one point in her book speaks about Robert Montgomery's film Lady in the Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose the point which this filmic paradigm is most apparent is in the kind of first-person perspective which that film employed. There's a film which is completely shot from the perspective of the protagonist. Sobchak and other critics before, like Jean Mitry, for example, also spoke about that film. I come to the conclusion that although this is representing the kind of bodily perception of a embodied being within the film, right? That's distinct from the viewer. Right? The viewer is always aware that they are not receiving these perceptions, but they are receiving the perception of someone who is other than them. And I wonder if that's works differently in games, or if you feel that this is to be reflected in games, or whether there is a different paradigm as well.
I think in some way it feeds also into this, let's call it the interactive paradigm. We still need to find a proper topic for that. I mean, the reason why Lady in the Lake is not working is there are hardly any establishing shots. You don't have this shot and counter shot by which you are given time to adopt the point of view, and also that you are deprived of the possibility to really navigate the camera. So that are the reason why that is not working. And I mean, we could think about it. That would be not that possibility of controlling the gaze itself, another paradigm than interaction as such, or that the system is interactive or the environment is interactive. haven't figured it out, but I know that down.
I actually have a short question myself. I was wondering what your thoughts are on blind games that allow players to have a sense of their spatial surroundings using echolocation.
Yeah. So you got me because I skipped the sixth paradigm, and that is about the acoustic. So it was Michel Chion in film. I mean, you have a very rich description of the not only on the off-screen space, but of the extra-diegetic sounds, etc., etc. So we would have to reapproach games in that within that paradigm. But I also think that the acoustic is present in any audiovisual system and in other computer games as well. So blind games are very extreme, they're very pure just for that paradigm. But the impression, for example, when you play Doom 3 or whatever, and you have that sound composition that surrounds you, literally, that gives you a much stronger impression of space than just the perspective. That is much more paranoid.
I guess it kind of connects a little bit to both that question and also to the question about Galloway. It feels like the one area that this doesn't deal with, or certainly need expanding, is that you're physically connected to the game in terms of the haptics. You hold a controller, the controller is physically in your hands, there is a physical sense of feedback from that. And does that require an expansion of this? I mean, the fundamental difference, probably more fundamental than interactivity, is the physical connection. You don't watch a film where you're actually touching the film as you experience it. I wonder what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, you could have force feedback in movies as well, like shaking seats. But you're right, the movement or the touch that these guys talk about when they discuss films is much more metaphorical than in games. So actually, we could turn it around that they probably the reason why they introduced it or why Sobchak did the somatic turn in games in film studies was because games were approaching.
Kind of awkward, but I actually had almost the same question, so thank you for that talk. I guess we can pass it back to
You mentioned the paradigm of interactivity that you will work into it, but will that account, or how will it account for not the actual action? I mean, I think this feeds into what Dan just said, but the awareness of potential for action. Right, so one of the very different ways in which dynamic of games works within this is a paradigm is like how well I am aware that I can snipe a person if somebody comes through, but I am doing nothing, but I am in potential. And that is a very important mode of being within games that's not covered.
I think that's paradigm number 7. That's the brain, not as memory, but as prediction.
As we have something like a minute, I will sneak in a question of my own. A very brief one. You said that you haven't really encountered the face as a mode for games outside of cutscenes. Now, I think there are a couple of instances where you can have something like that. You showed us that in Tomb Raider or in Max Payne, you can never see the face of the avatar. In the Bethesda RPGs, you can very well do that, right? There you have that opportunity to rotate the camera and look at your character. In Knights of the Old Republic, there's that very strong reveal in the middle of the campaign where you actually are shown that your character is the person you were hunting all along, where you have that long, very cinematic shot towards the face, where the face again becomes instrumentalized in something that is very interactive in the story. And then, if I remember correctly, Dead Space 2 has a sequence where you have to operate on your avatar by punching a needle into his eye. So there are these instances. So where would you say does the face come into its own as a gamic element there to basically continue?
the examples you mentioned are probably more that kind that it turns into an object amongst others. If not, it would be an agreement that the filmic paradigm prevails. But at least I was also looking for a negative result. So that's why I was approaching it that way. But you're right, I mean, there are moments all outside cutscenes, but maybe they are either filmic or turning something into an object. But I still have to think about it. Thanks.
Then let's thank Stefan.